consultations happening. Yesterday, it is the newspaper led with a story, about Peter Obi, saying he was going to run in the Labour Party. And a lot of people started getting the feelers that, maybe he might not want to be part of the coalition. But this meeting held yesterday, and I think it has calmed some nerves. There are a lot of top hitters in the meeting, like you've seen. Admechi is there. In fact, they talk about General Guzo also being in support of all of this rallying. There was a little skirmish in the meeting anyway by the Jigawa delegation as regards who is going to be the leader, but it was sorted out when the son of former Jigawa Governor Lamido, was finally put as one of the leaders of the Jigawa delegation. And initially the meeting, they said the meeting was to discuss, what is happening in the northern security and all of that, but it was way more than that. It was this first bold move in their country. I'm happy about it because, you see, I've always said I condemn a one-party state. We should never have any talk about a one-party state. But what I will also tell these people all coming together is, who is ready to sacrifice for the other? Because increasingly I'm seeing a lot of people that, yes, they say they have one interest, which is to unseat President Tinubu in 2027, but all of them want to be president. I don't know, maybe when they get to that part, then they'll be able to navigate it. Maybe I was too hasty when I took, the assumptions of the This Day newspaper on Sunday and say, I said this might not fall through. But I remember on my tweets, Mr. Oseni, your very good friend, did say, don't be too hasty, Rufai. And he was correct, because probably he knew more than me that this meeting was coming up. So we'll see how these consultations go. And we'll see where they arrive at. Like you all say, 24 hours is a long time in politics. But it's a very good first step. At least in the news reportage this week, it wasn't about one defection or the other. It was from the opposition coalition also saying something. So it's good for balancing. And please, I just want to say this in extension. I know this is not part of it. Dear Governor Eno, you cannot suppress the rights of journalists. Whatever decision was made in that state against those Channels TV journalists, and I didn't really mention it because I'm standing up in camaraderie, that because a report was released by them and they're barred from the press center, we totally condemn. We are all patriots at this point in time for our fellow journalists and our colleagues. Real quickly, as regards Seyi Makinde and Wike, these were the people that were together with what Daniel Bwala would call them, the Jackson 5, the G5. These people came together to decimate the PDP and thwarted basically the chance of Atiku Abubakar because it didn't favor them. So Wike is now saying that all the agreements he put forward, Seyi Makinde is reneging against them. For instance, they should not bring forward Okoye again. It should be Anyanwu that should lead the way. He said Seyi Makinde went to the back to scuttle that. They also talked about taking away all the cases the PDP governors filed against state of emergency from courts and all the agreements they did have. So today they are loggerheads. They are so at loggerheads that, in fact, if you check the page of the newspaper today, Wike took a page stating his position on all of that. Let's see how it's going to pan out in their fights. But it's interesting to watch their fights because these were the same people that were doing G5 and they were singing Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, and they were both all excited when they thwarted the chance of their own presidential candidates. Let's see how the Bukola Saraki-led team will be able to bring peace back to the PDP because the larger context is restoring peace to the PDP.
Okay, what is the main issue? Nyesom Wike, Minister Wike, saying that he has pulled out of all peace efforts within the PDP because there was a meeting at the guest house of Senator Bukola Saraki, who is the leader of the Way Forward Committee of the PDP. And at that meeting, certain agreements were reached. And the agreements were reached included the fact that the National Legal Advisor of the party will withdraw cases in court involving the River State matter, that Samuel Anyanwu, who is his own favored candidate, for position of National Secretary, will be recognized as the National Secretary, and that there will be no talk about any Deputy Secretary being recognized as the acting National Secretary of the party. But at that meeting, certain agreements were reached. And on the basis of that, there was some reconciliation. His argument is that, look, the leaders of the party have now gone back on that agreement in Senator Bukola Saraki's guest house. To which, that the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, the governor of Oyo State, colluding with the governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, have now decided to go behind and renege on those agreements. And that on the basis of that, he is standing on those agreements. He is standing on the ruling of the Supreme Court, even if the Supreme Court did not dictate who should be the national secretary of the PDP. The Supreme Court simply said the party should go and put his own house in order. And the party is divided. On one hand, you have people who are saying that they are insisting on Samuel Anyanwu. On the other hand, you have the National Working Committee saying, look, it's the Deputy Secretary who is acting as National Secretary. You have the Southeast Caucus of the People's Democratic Party saying that the person they want there is Ude Okoye. Otherwise, it will amount to an act of affront. BOT Chairman Adolphus Wabara says so. Other leading members of that party, including Chief Achike Udemwa, whom we interviewed on this program, also insisted that the Southeast cannot be taken for granted. Now, so what is clear is that there is conflict within the People's Democratic Party. There is dissension within the People's Democratic Party. Nobody even knows who the National Secretary is at this particular moment. And that was why when Senator Gabriel Suswam came onto this program, he said the PDP is in an intensive care unit in a hospital. In other words, that the party is very sick. And he said, on the occasion that we interviewed him, that the May 27 NEC meeting of the party will make or mar the PDP. It looks like the PDP is already either compromised or is already sabotaged, and that the prediction of Senator Gabriel Suswam may come true. It may not die as a political party, as acting national chairman, Ambassador Damagum insists, but will he be able to make any impact in 2027? So you have a party, a political party, at a crossroads because of the failure of his own internal democracy. However, I think Wike's role in the matter is also something that should be underscored. Yes, Wike says he has been in the party since the very beginning and that he has invested so much. But he projects himself as if he's the be-all and the all-in-all of the party. The same party under which auspices he was made chairman of Obio-Akpo local government, under which auspices he became special assistant to the governor, became chief of staff to the governor, became commissioner, became minister of state education, served for 2 terms as governor. I think it's most unfortunate that he's the same man who says he wants to destroy the PDP because he says he will fight to the finish. But he's very clever. He's hiding under agreements. The other time he said there was a southern projection agreement. This time around he says something was reached in Saraki's guest house. And Anyanwu, who is his lackey, has now issued a statement postponing tomorrow's scheduled meeting of the party. And he says he disagrees with a deputy secretary acting as acting national secretary. And then the other party, the National Working Committee, is insisting that they do not recognize the PDP. So, look, PDP is out of the equation, the way it is looking. A divided party like that, I don't see how they are going to reorganize within 2 years to challenge the same APC that they say they want out of power. Lessons not learned, leadership not provided, a lot of display of incompetence in the People's Democratic Party. Quickly, to the issue of the northern leaders. Now they had a meeting, the National Political Consultative Group, North, which was attended by former minister, former governor Rotimi Amechi, and attended by Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, attended by Mr. Peter Obi, and other leaders of that coalition. Now, the impression is given that the North is monolithic. The North is not monolithic. People are saying northern leaders have resolved to remove Tinubu. Look, in that same North, there are leaders from the Northwest who say they are supporting Tinubu. There are leaders from the North Central who are saying they are supporting Tinubu. So it's not as if the North is monolithic. So when the newspapers, the media report that northern leaders forge united front, there is no such thing as a united front in the North. Indeed, at that meeting yesterday, there was a quarrel by the Jigawa delegation over who should speak on behalf of the Jigawa delegation. Babachi Lawal had recommended someone else, but the delegation, refused. They turned the place into a chaotic environment. The security agencies, DSS, police, and private guards had to protect the VIPs in the place. Peace was only restored when it was agreed that Sule Lamido, the son of Alhaji Sule Lamido, should speak on behalf of the Jigawa delegation. So the North is not monolithic. And there's also the issue. There's also a tendency within that coalition that is arguing that the next candidate from the North, or from the coalition, should come from the South. But that Southern candidate should sign a one-term agreement. So you see they're determined in saying they want to push APC and Tinubu out of power. Okay? Now, that Tinubu is not going to just sit down and allow them to push him out of power. And which Southern candidate is going to agree to do only one term? If you put a Southern candidate there, he too will say he will do one term. But in any case, they have not even agreed on the platform. There is the Liyele Moke-led committee that is talking about whether they should remain in PDP or not. There is the Rotimi Amechi committee that is recommending Alliance for Democracy and all of that. So, it's a very complex proposition, and nobody should arrive at any, jerky, emotional conclusions. But it makes good headlines for the media to say Northern leaders have united against APC. That's not the reality. It's far more complex.
It does make for exciting political commentary, doesn't it? So, well, it is without a doubt that yesterday's outing at the National Consultative Forum was a symbolic one, in that in all of the discussions that we've been seeing leading up to this, we hadn't seen so much of a united front. Some of the statements were pulling in different directions, but it was good to see an outing where all came together and were able to at least reach a degree of consensus on a number of things as we await for further developments. So again, this had followed the point that Rufai had made, which is that there was some assumptions that Peter Obi was pulling out. And again, this was just a show that it's still very early in the day and that this group recognizes the strength that they have in numbers, especially when you look at the context that it was Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi's tickets that had split the majority vote in the last election. So this combination coming together, although we don't know what the dynamic would be, but it's important for us to continue to see this united front. And hopefully, in light of this, we can see more of a coordinated opposition being able to steer the ship. On the backdrop of this, there's also statements from the Africa Democratic Congress, the ADC, which had initially been put forward by some media reports as the vehicle of choice. However, already before any ink has dried or any deal has been